Hi, I'm Alex, and it looks like you're ready to learn how to program. Now, we all hate introductions, we just want to get right into it, and I can understand that. But I'm planning on this being quite a long tutorial series, going over everything you need to know, and I don't want to be wasting your time. You see, this tutorial series is going to be really in-depth on computers and programming, and if you're not really that interested in this, you might feel like you've wasted a lot of your time. So I'm just going to introduce what I'm planning, shouldn't take too long, and you can decide whether you're going to be interested or not. And without further ado, let's play the 10-second intro. Right then, let me just introduce this tutorial series and then we'll get our environment set up for it. Can I just be clear first of all, that if you can already program and you just want to go to a different programming language, this series is not for you. This series is for people who have never programmed before, and if you already know how this stuff generally works and just want to be moving to a different programming language, take a look at Derek here. Link in the description, because he won't bore you to death, which you will be if you already know all this stuff. Okay, with that out of the way, for the first 3 or 4 videos, we're barely even going to write a line of code. And that's because I want to make sure we're understanding what we're actually writing in, and why the code that we will write does what it does. Essentially, if I don't go over this stuff, you won't actually know where to go after this series. You might have an idea of all the concepts you need for programming, but you just won't know what to do with all that knowledge or how to apply it. So in this videos, I will also go over the general logic of a computer. Things like the computer does exactly what you ask it to do, nothing more, nothing less. And things like the operating system, what programming language means, why there are lots of different programming languages, and how the computer understands what you programmed. All sorts of stuff like that I think will be really helpful for you down the line and will help you to really understand programming and computers. So don't start thinking when you're on like episode 2 that we're not going to program. We are, it will just take a few episodes to get there. Alright, well, I think that's all the introduction we need. If you're still interested, why don't we hop in and get ourselves set up? Now, if you're on a Mac, this process may be different, and I don't have a Mac, but you can probably work your way through this yourself. What we need is Visual Studio, so hop on to visualstudio.com. Once you're here, you'll see a screen like this. Now, this website might change in the future, but on this specific version, what you need to do is click on Learn More. This will take you to a screen like this. Now, if you're on a PC, like I am here, you can just leave it on Windows up here. But if you're on a Mac, you'll need to click on macOS up here and go through with that. You need to put your mouse over this download Visual Studio option here and click on community. You'll need to launch the vscommunity.exe file here. And after waiting a bit, you'll get yourself either a screen after clicking on available like this, or a screen like this. If you get to the screen on the left, just click on the install option next to community here, and it should move over to the second screen. Now, all of that I would generally expect you to have figured out yourself, because don't forget, this series is for people who can at least work their way around a computer. But this screen, I definitely do not. Now, this probably looks quite complicated, but don't worry. All you need to do for this tutorial series is to tick .NET Desktop Development. If you ever want to do more things with Visual Studio later, you can always go back in and click on Modify and tick some more. And with that being ticked, just hit install. This can take a really long time, it really depends on your internet connection, so you've got to be patient. And with that being done, you should just be able to hit launch, which will boot up Visual Studio. You'll get a screen like this. Of course, for you, the section on the left will be empty. Now, we aren't really going to be using this for the first 3 or 4 videos, as I've already explained, but let's just make sure it's all working. So I want you to click on New Project here, and you'll get a bunch of options like this. This will probably be a lot emptier for you since you only ticked one box earlier. Now, we want a console application, and we want it to be C#, so first of all, click on the language option here, and choose C#. Then type in console in the search box, and we should see it here. Now, if you don't have that, it's likely that you didn't tick that box earlier, which you needed to do. So what you need to do now is go back into the installer, which you can access just by searching Visual Studio Installer, and go into Modify for Community here, and make sure you do tick the box. Anyway, assuming that you did, we want the .NET Framework one. So select that, and click on Next. And finally, let's give it a name. Just call it Tutorial Test. Really, it doesn't matter, just don't put spaces in it, please. And click on Create, and you should see something like this. Awesome. Now, you do not need to understand what I'm typing out yet. Just copy this out. Go in between these two, what we call curly braces, and then hit Enter. Then type in console.writeLine, then an opening bracket, 2 double quotes, not single quotes, which is a very common mistake people make, and then a closing bracket and a semicolon. Then hit Enter again, and type out exactly what I type out here. Now, in between those 2 double quotes up here, just type in Hello World. Great! You've basically written your first program here. So go up and hit Start, or press F5. And after a bit of waiting, you should literally see Hello World. If you got that, that means everything's working, so you can close it all down and get ready for a whole series on how computers work, and more importantly, how to program. Don't forget to, drop off a small little like, and I'll see you then in episode 1. Bye.